Hello, and welcome back to the Big Money Stylist podcast. If you caught last week's episode, it was not Ani. It was a more manly figure named Garrett, who is actually my husband, and we don't know his title. Is it CEO? What is it?
It's just Garrett.
It's just Garrett. Garrett was on the show. If you're new to our podcast, we do hair. I created a system of hair extensions called Natural Beauty Rose. And through that, we created an education company called Big Money Stylist. And Ani here is our lead trainer inside of Big Money Stylist. So we like to come and do a podcast together. We share it once a week. It's 30 minutes. You can listen to it on your car, put it in fast motion. You know, I can't listen to a podcast in regular speed anymore.
Do you know I can't listen to humans talk in regular speed?
I know. When we were just listening to that voice audio of like me talking, I was like, speed it up. Like,
go, woman, go.
I'm used to people talking in chickmunks now. So I think it's because I'm always on the go. And
with podcasts, you can do like 2x speed. And you're a 30-minute podcast, you're done in 15 minutes.
Same with books. Do you listen to books or just read them?
No, I'm sorry. That's against my religion.
You like to fill the paper and and bask in the words?
Yes,
what?
There is, for anyone who reads, there is no better feeling than being able to flip and being like, 5 more pages left in the chapter. And then when you get more than halfway done, it's heavier on the left side than the right. I love books.
Oh my God.
Obviously.
No, I usually, when I have a book, when I used to read books, now I just listen to them on audio. But I would get overwhelmed, and then when I would get to that point where it was heavier on one side, I was like, "Thank God, I'm so over this book."
No, that's the best. But really, what's distracting me is your soda right now. I haven't had soda in a year and a half.
I have been cutting back, and this is delicious.
I haven't had one since I moved to California. I look at it and I'm like, I know it's probably a Coke, Diet Coke, but man, if that were a Dr. Pepper.
You know what? I put a splash of vanilla in it, so it's sweeter.
Oh, well, I'm still not going to. I'm really trying to not do soda. It's so bad for you.
What's so funny is I don't know why. I don't really have a soda problem, but I open a soda every day and I'll drink half of it. Every day. I make my my babysitter buy Diet Coke and always have it stocked in the fridge. And I open one every day and there's 3 sips out of it.
Get the little baby ones.
Same thing. I don't know why. It's habit for me to I just want to sip. I don't even care if sometimes I finish it. Isn't that weird though?
Maybe you just like the carbonation of it.
I think I do. It's like habit, and I want something sweet, and I open it and I take a sip and I'm like, that's nice. And then I don't care anymore.
There are some days where I see a soda and I'm like, oh God, I bet that tastes so good. I know, but I'm committed to not drinking soda since I moved to California, just like I don't even eat fast food.
You know what? Soda is not bad unless you drink a lot though.
I know, but it's just not good for you. But I also ate Del Taco a week ago, so maybe that's not great either. But in my defense, the burrito has avocado in it, so in my mind, it's healthy.
It's fine.
So,
anyways,
we've been doing something interesting, other than apparently drinking Diet Coke or not. We've been doing something interesting in the salon recently. We have this new system we're using.
Sorry. I'm laughing because of the Yahoo. I don't know. We'll talk.
Oh, I'm like, why are you laughing?
Yeah, no.
Diet Coke was over. I don't know what's going on now.
No.
All right. But we got this whole new system and software in the salon, and we even a new way to check clients out and ring them out. But yes, let me tell you, if you have a larger salon and you are the salon owner and you are busy and you do not have a salon manager who you fully trust and is legit,
you're fucked.
You're missing out,
and
man.
don't have one of your hairstylists become your managers. I think that was my biggest mistake this last year as we were expanding. In the beginning, I started educating before I had my salon, but then I was we had a ton of salon owners coming in and teaching business and stuff. Garrett could teach the business side of Warrior, but I was you know what, we need to have a salon. And so we opened a salon 3.5, 4 years ago. I can't even remember now.
I came in 2016 and you had the little salon. The old salon.
So, and I'd had that for about a year. So that's probably been about 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so when I started my salon, I only had 4 chairs. There was only 3 of us artists, and it wasn't super busy. And I was well, I need a software system. So I got Mindbody, and it has so many capabilities that it was overwhelming to me. But I was one of those people that's well, I bought the software, check.
Nailed it.
It's
check off.
I paid for the class, check. And
check.
I literally, in the beginning, I would kind of, I was used to managing my own stuff. I swear, every hairstylist is used to at some point in the game, they become their own boss and they manage their own books.
Dude, you start with the paper book. Everybody had a paper book.
Totally. I love the paper book.
Still
to this day, I want to write it and scribble and
I know. And then you're like, I charged $300. Nope, charged $250. I felt bad. I charged $25.
In the notes, I'm an asshole. I undercharged myself.
And then you look and you're like, damn it. Or the worst is when they would be like, no, I need to move. Yeah, let's do this date. Then you write there like, actually, no. Can we do this date? And you're like, son of a race.
Just a second.
Damn it.
You're all, fuck, I wrote that in pen.
Oh, that was the worst. And you're like, is there whiteout for this book, please?
But I loved when you opened your books and you're like, look how busy it looks.
And then really it was half of them were scribbles or like a grocery list on one whole day.
I know.
I've seen crazy shit.
I literally, in the beginning of my career before I had kids, I would work every day, and I want to touch base on this too later in the show, but I'd work every day, but I literally would like pencil myself out and be like, shopping trip, return shirt to Nordstrom's. Because I let clients dictate my schedule, but I was open like Monday through Saturday, but it wasn't always like packed, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I would just have like little windows, and I'd literally write like, go to McDonald's. Like
that's why you opened up your book and you're like, I am so busy. It's like, Danielle, half of them say shopping, the other half say go get a Diet Coke. That does not count as busy.
It's great. I felt very fulfilled.
And that's our show. Thank you very much for listening. So Mind Body, you bought the software and you're nailed it.
Yeah. And then it's so funny because as I started to get busier, I was like, God, I don't want to manage everybody's schedules. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. I want to be the owner. I don't want to manage this stuff. Like, I didn't mind managing my own stuff, but it got to the point where I was like, oh my God, like I'm doing all the consultations for the whole team. I'm like scheduling it. And it was good because I think I learned a lot about like the whole process and the system. And I think it's important as an owner to actually not, because I think owners too are like, oh, hire it out. And I get that, but I'm like the type of person that's like, hire it out, but you should know the basics of like what's going on.
Well, and even when it comes to like buying color, or if you're doing only extensions, how much hair do you have in stock? Right. Like these are things you need to know how to do. That's another
thing I can touch base on. Okay, so I'm just gonna like come clean, guys. It's like repent, like whatever to Jesus or whoever you repent to.
Is this your come to Jesus moment?
This is my come to Jesus moment. All right. So, anyways. I was like a bad salon parent. It was like I knew my kids were doing naughty things, and I turned the cheek. I turned the other way. I chose to look the other way and pretend like nothing was going on. But anyway, so we had the software. So then I was like, oh, I'll have my assistant run the books. And there was like 3 of us. So she would run the books. And for all I knew, my schedule was full. So I was happy, and clients were showing up, and I didn't have to follow up with anymore or confirm them anymore. And like, I was happy. I could show up and do hair. I didn't care. I was like, this is great. This is what I wanted. So then it would get to the point where we'd go to check them out, and MindBody has all this, like, where you can gather all their information, birthday,
address,
email, you know, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck do I need their email for? And so literally I'd go to like check somebody out, or whoever would be checking, like if the receptionist was busy, whatnot. And I'd be like, oh, their email's not even in here. And it would say something like Carrie@idon'tknow.yahoo.com. And I was like, but why make the effort to put Yahoo?
That made all the difference. Okay,
right?
They tried.
Yeah, and then it just got to the point where emails were IDK
at yahoo.com.
And I was like, oh my God. And I'd always be in a hurry, and my next one would be there, and I'd just be like, all right, have a great day. Well, it's funny because like now we're going through our system. I hired a legit salon manager. I didn't hire her as a stylist. I hired her as the position of a salon manager.
And she's legit, let me say.
She's legit. Like, she gets mad at me, and I'm like, thank you.
You're like, am I being scolded? You're
no,
like,
literally,
God.
I'll be back there going through the hair, and she just like hovers.
Because she knows you're the bad one in the salon.
And you know what? I am very like messy. And
you're the bad child.
I am the bad child. So I'm trying to like scold my children only to realize I'm a bad parent.
And it's literally so inside of DKW Salon, because we are obviously an NBR only salon. Like, guys, we have massive amounts of hair, but in order to keep track and make sure we're not buying colors that we never use, like we need to like check out hair like a library book. But if you use, 5 pieces of 613 and then 3 pieces of BL22, you just have to write it down. So our salon manager.
Why do we have the checkout system, Ani?
Well, because hair, all of a sudden one day we realized Danielle had a bag sitting in like the bottom of her closet or something that had like 60 grand worth of hair.
Yeah.
And oops. And then at the salon we're like, someone fucked up this piece, just throw it away. Oops, that piece went purple, toss it. Like, it's so much money wasted. And when you're not aware of these things, as a salon owner, dude, you're getting screwed.
Oh, yeah. I kind of knew, like, I kept, like, literally, it was to the point, I mean, we were pretty busy last fall, and I was to the point in summer, and it was to the point where I'm like, God, hair, like $10,000 worth of hair is showing up to my house weekly. But I just thought, like, well, fuck, we're doing really good in the salon then. Like if we're ordering this much hair, imagine how much profit. But what was happening is my salon receptionist, I promoted him to manager, and I just said, I didn't train him. I just was like, hey, you're the manager. Yeah. Like, you got it.
Do some stuff.
Yeah, do some shit. And he had never been a salon manager. And so I'm just like, hey, take hair orders from each of the stylists based on, they can look at their books and say, I need this, this, and this, and order it, or see if we have it, and if we don't, order it. Well, nobody was checking to see if we had it, and hair just kept showing up and showing up and showing up, and that's fine. I'm like very much like all about abundance, but it got to the point where here's what I hated. I hated in the beginning when we had low stock, and I'd go in and a client comes in and they're like, I think I need new hair, and I'm like, shit, I don't have
half a weft.
And then I felt like you have to make that client like wait, and then you miss out on a sale opportunity. You lose money by not having hair in stock. And so it's even funny when people even do our education, they're like, how much do you recommend keeping in stock? I'm like, how much money do you want to make? Like, you need to keep enough in stock, like color, where you have endless options, where you can always have enough to offer them if they need it. And I always think that that's a hard thing with extensions, and I'll just touch base on this really quick, is stylists are so afraid to recommend new hair. And so I've been trying to like nail into my students, like, listen, stop thinking it so much as upselling, and recommend as the professional what you think they need. If they need a few new pieces, recommend it. There's no reason to feel bad about it. If they're on a hair budget, they will tell you. And then at least you can be like, hey, well, this is my recommendation based on the outcome that I think you need. And then if they don't want it, I'm always like, cool. See how I show them. I'm like, see how these ends are thinned out? Like, for sure. And like, I've had people like, oh, I can go one more time. And I show them their hair. I'm like, I'm going to put in notes in your books that you have to get new hair next time. And I feel like I'm kind of parenting my clients in a way, because I'm like, I get it. Extensions is a luxury item. It's expensive. But if I tell you in advance, I know that you can save up and get new hair next time. Because I don't feel good about putting in like shitty hair that's like 9+ months old. I'm like, when you sign up to get these extensions, we have a 4 to 6 month window of the longevity of that hair. So when we're at the 8th month mark and I say, hey, and I recommend new hair, you knew what you were getting into. So there's no reason for a stylist to feel bad about that.
For sure. So like we were saying, in the salon with our salon manager, we keep track of all the hair now. We do everything like that. And Danielle is the one that I will never forget this. You had a packed day. I think you had like 3 to 4 clients that day. A couple of them got brand new. They were brand new clients. One replaced some of her hair. And at the end, we look at the board and we're like, Danielle, your name's not even up there saying you took any hair. And she goes, whoops, I forgot. See you guys later. And left. And we stood there like, did she just... We're like, someone go grab her 2 assistants. Does anybody know what she used? And they were like, We're like, so none of you did your job today? We're like, Danielle's terrible at this, but it's so funny. It really is to the point where Danielle, we see her walk towards the hair, and Crystal, a salon manager, like, I swear, just kind of like, boop, pops up and just looks at her like.
You know what? It's so hard for me because I'm so visual, and they'll be like, Danielle, just tell your assistant. My assistants will say, do you want me to pull hair for you? And I'm like, it's like, do you do this when you go mix color? You're like, you know what you want the outcome to look like, but you physically have to look at the labels of the colors.
Ooh, yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm
you have to, like, artists are so visual. So for me, when someone's like, should I pull hair? I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you to grab. So like and what I do is I grab, and this is what drives Crystal nuts. I grab like 6 bags, but each bag is not like a regular package. Like, we keep them in Ziploc-ies, and each bag has probably like 30 pieces of hair in it. And I spread them out, and I literally look for specific pieces inside of the bags. Like, that's how picky I am.
No, we're all aware you do this.
And so then they're like, what bag did you grab that out of? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Just have someone stand by me. And I think that because I'm very much in my creative flow and my creative mindset. So now we're in the process of like training the assistants, like, hey, like, you're in charge of this. So keep your eye on as she's doing it, keep your eye, mark it down out of which bag. You know what I mean? So,
well, and I straight up warned my assistant yesterday. I had Courtney, and I was like, look, because every single time a client comes into the salon, like, we have an entire sheet on the client. It says their name. There's a place where you can put down their formula, what you did, if you put new hair in, like what color you did, like, just to really keep track. And then our receptionist will go in and put all of that information into their actual like client profile now. Right. But I told my assistant on Tuesday, I said, hey, just so you know, I will forget. I forget to write down their formula every single time. I get excited. Honestly, yesterday, I forgot to take a before of my client, and I was like, okay, we're going to have to do a BAFTR. It's like a before but after your color. So, and she just looked at me, and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, Courtney, you have to remind me once we blow dry, I have to take a BAFTR. So,
and that's the same with me. I'll get mad at assistants. I'm like, you guys, like, your one responsibility is like, if I forget, you remind me. But I get it. Sometimes it's hard. Like, I'm really like, I want to do the afters because that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I get it. I totally space.
And
I
when
get
I
like
took
4 foils in, then I'm trying to hide them in the before photo.
Well, and that's why when I started, I was so excited about her color that I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. I'm like, this is the plan. I'm like, go mix this for me. And then halfway through the back and the side, because we're working like catty corner, I was like, oh.
Now, can you take a before like this?
I'm like, there's no way to do it because half of her side was done, half the back was done.
Did you just do the color and then make the what'd you call it, a BAFTR?
It's my BAFTR.
Just put it in really shitty lighting. Just kidding.
And I stood there, I was like, well, at least her color looks really pretty. They're gonna be like, man, Ani's color lasts a really long time. Like, nope, I just redid it. But
I know that sucks if you put a lot of work into the color too.
I know, and that's why I stood there. I was like, damn it. And her hair was so light when she came in and we darkened it and deepened it. I was like, son of a bitch.
But there's still sometimes I post just afters because like sometimes just a really good after, you're like, that's all I need. That's all I need to show you. You know?
She was really cute. And she just joined, not Bumble, Match.com.
I thought that was funny when you're like, have fun in your 19 dates. I was like, what kind of industry is she in?
She got, no, not that. She got a divorce like a year ago. And she's like, okay, I just got on Match.com. And I'm like, oh, girl, I got your new profile picture. She saw him. She's like, can you send those? But like
no,
face.
but for real.
She goes, but can you FaceTune my face first? I was like, yes. But really, I think it's really great in the salon now that we have these client cards.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting their address. We're getting not like Danielle DK IDK at yahoo.com.
Well,
like,
I think it's funny because I'm very clean and I think I appear to be very put together, but I'm not. I'm very like passionate. I'm very driven. I'm very artistic. I'm very detail oriented, but there's so much difference between organized and detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's too much detailed for you.
Yeah. And then if it's too much detail, I get overwhelmed. But I realized too, I've become really good at training, not just like with students, but with assistants, because you can be mad at your assistant all day long, but an assistant can only be as good as the trainer is willing to train them.
For sure. And that's why, Courtney, at the beginning of the day, I was like, look, I'm going to forget what I write down. You have to ask me. You have to write it down, or I'm telling you, I will never do it, and I won't remember one single color I use. And she was like, okay. And at one point, like when I was mixing up something else, I walked back over. She was talking to my client. She's like, okay, can I get your address? Can I get your email?
Right.
And I started writing formulas, and I'm like, oh, I already forgot about that.
That looks more professional, too, if the assistant does that anyways, and then you can focus on the art and whatnot. What was I going to talk about? Oh, I wanted to talk about, like, for me with like hiring Crystal, because it's not like necessarily in my nature. If you guys want to find more about yourselves on like a business aspect, there's a test called the Colby, and it's like a personality test, but based on like more like business results driven. It's like your follow up, your fact finding, like all your organization skills. It has like 4 different categories and it tells you where your strengths are. And for me, it was so hard to be super organized, and I was like, I'm having a hard time even giving somebody direction on something that is just not my strength. And I have so many other strengths that have helped like build the brand and the business, but this is just like one area that's hard for me. So when I hired a new person, I didn't, in the past, what I would do is I would hire people and just hope they would become that person I wanted. And I was like, that's so stupid. You have to hire based on the job that you're looking for, somebody that has experience. So when I was looking for a salon manager, I'm like, you must have management skills inside of a salon. Like that was one of the requirements.
And it sounds so like, well, duh, like, of course, but you don't do it at first. Yeah, you're like,
salon owners try to be the managers. They do.
Oh,
like,
now you're doing hair behind the chair. You're trying to organize your staff. You're trying to order
people.
color. Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah, so it doesn't work. And even if you are really detail oriented and you're really good at that, when you're trying to juggle too many things, like shit falls apart. And so you have to come to this place where you're like, I need help on the team. And if I could, and I think women, I don't know if men feel this way, but I know women specifically think like nobody does it my way, but is your way always the effective way? You know what I mean? Obviously, like what I was doing, like I wanted to have so much control inside my business, but at the lack of it kind of like being not organized. So that doesn't really work. So I like now when I'm coaching people, I'm like, even like my husband, when he's hiring people for a certain job, I'm like, let's stop trying to hire people and create them into this vision. Why don't we just hire people that are qualified for the position that we're looking for? It's weird. It's a weird concept, but I think we could do it, because he had the same thing in his business. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like hiring people like that said, oh, I can fit this spot. And then he felt like they were falling short. And I'm like, well, have they ever been that in a previous business? No, but they did this, this, and this in a previous business, but they haven't been this position that you hired them for.
It's like saying, okay, so I hired you to be a hairstylist. You've never done hair, but you did nails and eyelashes.
And you were a damn good nail and eyelash lady.
But you never did hair. That's a bit of a problem.
You're really good at marketing, but you suck at hair, and I hired you as a hairstylist. Why is your hair sucking?
Like, why aren't you doing great work? And then all of a sudden they're like, I don't know. Do you know one of my favorite stories is, I found this out about you yesterday?
Oh, no.
So we were talking in the salon about that big, almost like flower vase that Crystal has on the bar where we mix up the color. And so what Crystal has us do, if like if you finish up a bottle of color or a tube or whatever, just put the lid in, or like the empty tube, so she knows what to replenish. Apparently you thought that was trash, and we were so lazy.
We have a garbage, we have like a color mixing bar, and we have a garbage right next to that. And then there's this vase, like an old flower vase with like, I was like, oh my God, are people so lazy that they're just like throwing the extra boxes? And
no, Crystal told us to.
Okay, well, I thought it was weird, but it's like one of those things you kind of look at. And then finally, after like 3 weeks, I'm like, why is this here? Because I hate clutter.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this here? Well, can I throw this away? And Crystal's like, no. I was like, it's a really weird way to organize it. She's like, well, no, it's easy. Then I know like what's
exactly what we've used.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's ugly.
The funny thing is, when you go look at her office when she's organizing it, because her and our offices are side by side, I walked into her office one day and it's an entire table organized by, oh my gosh, like color brand, whether it was shades or Schwarzkopf and developers. So she's like, that's how she organizes it. I mean, props. She's found a system. And I'm like, at this point, had you not hired someone,
you can't grow without systems.
No.
And if you do, it's chaos.
Well, and even then, like, we didn't have any client emails. idk@yahoo.com doesn't freaking help. No. And then all of a sudden, artists all the time, they go into this mode of like, I need more people. But okay, what about the people that maybe came once?
Yes. And with an oversaturated market of social media, and I know that hairstylists are big, are big on Instagram because it like showcases your portfolio, and it's an amazing tool and it's great. But you know where I'm going with this. My biggest pet peeve is text me for appointments. No DMs though, but I draw the line at DMs. No DMs. Text me.
But here's my personal phone number.
Yes, here's my personal cell phone number. But do not fucking DM me. This is bad. I am sorry. Like nothing says cheap hair. Like please text message me. Like you don't take yourself serious. You're not gathering any information. And I realize this the hard way because I'm like thinking like, gosh, it's been a little slow. Like let's start marketing more. And then I'm like, you know. I'm big on like customer service, which I think in our industry sometimes just gets lost with social media because people are so much in that mentality of like, well, I did your hair and it's amazing, and if you don't like it, fuck off. I can go.
I'll find somebody else.
I'll just put my number on Instagram, but don't DM me, and then I'll get a new client to replace you. And to me, like, yeah, there's times where, you know, if you have so many clients, sometimes you have somebody that slips through the radar and you don't really understand that they have like a bad experience, but that's why it's like important to even have a really good follow-up system. And we train everybody. Like one of our artists, I think it was Candace posted, she's one of our platform artists, posted something today on Instagram, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like with every new client that comes in, we follow up a complimentary 3-week appointment kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing. And that's something that like we teach our artists. We're like, hey, you'd have better results in creating longevity with your current clients than the churn and burn mentality. And referrals, like it's great to have social media and marketing, but sometimes referrals are really good too, because it's like you can market to somebody, you're like, I love Sally, and Sally just referred her friend and I love her too, you know, and it's like.
I have a pair of friends like that. One's Greta, and then she referred her friend
Sally?
Who had, and then Sally, no. But my first client, like I met her and loved her immediately, and she's like, girl, my friend is literally waiting for me to get my extensions done to see if she wants them. And then she left, and her friend was like, what the, I want that.
I want them, yeah.
And now I do her friend too, and they're a good time. They're fun.
Well, and I think too, before social media, like businesses were built like very much on referral base and networking and things like that. And I just think that like the old school way of doing business with a lot of newbies in the space is just being thrown out the door. And I think that there's a balance of like kind of operating on kind of like an old school way and using important business tactics like gathering people's information and I'll tell you why here in a minute, but also like tapping into that new younger age of like social media. And I feel like I'm in that tweener age. I'm like
oh, you're like before puberty.
No, I think like I'm not like a millennial. I'm like right at the cutoff of a millennial. So I feel like I'm like still in the know of things, but I'm like can touch base with like Garrett's older, you know, he's 7 years older than me. So I can like touch base on both sides of the spectrum, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I have like, I don't know. So anyways, my point being, if you gather information and the importance that we have found with it is like, there's so much, like you can create an email list. Like everybody who comes into my salon, they have to fill out an application. And honestly, it's so that we can better serve the client. Like it's like, hey, have you had extensions? Hey, do you have any previous extension damage? Can you tell us like, when's the last time you had a color done? Are you looking to have a color correction? Like, it's not like, what's your social security number? How many kids do you have? Like, that's great. That's great. But it's people take it kind of personal, but I think you're seeing it more and more, the whole application thing. So it's becoming new normal.
Yeah.
And so anyways, we have people fill out an application and we do gather their email, or sometimes it doesn't get put in there. So the importance of creating a list is, you know, if you have a client that maybe flies in and then you don't see them for over a year, you can reach back out to them through email, through an email list and say, hey, we miss you. Here's some new products. Here's some new specials. Here's a new hairline we have coming out. We'd love to see you back in the salon. And you can go after clients who were already your clients. It's like we think as small business owners, we don't think of the big spectrum. We don't think of like a Nordstrom's or a Bloomingdale's or something where you buy an outfit, you have to put in your email. And then what shows up in your email box every other day?
They keep sending me, oh, you bought this. You would like this.
Yes.
I'm like, damn it.
And sometimes you're annoyed and sometimes you're like,
I do like
that.
Thank you. Bye.
Right?
Neiman gets me all the time.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Small business owners forget to have the bigger mindset of like collecting data, and nothing says a small business owner like, text me, please don't DM me. So I would challenge all of you out there, and I sound like a total bitch, but I know from experience. Like, I'm not saying, like, I've started where you have, and I've grown to where I am, and I'm looking to continue to grow in business and in life. So when I say this, it might trigger a lot of you, but hopefully you take yourself a little bit more serious and find the importance of business and taking your business serious into the next level. And a lot of that is staying organized, creating systems, collecting information from clients, and creating a better overall client experience inside of your own space and salon, whether you're doing it by yourself or you have a whole team working behind you or with you.
And not only that, things change so much and so quickly, especially at DKW between NBR and BMS, that even now, like, there have been some clients that I'm sure have been like, they felt like the boheme hair, or the hair that we used to use was maybe not the best, or they feel like they would tangled too easily or whatever it is. But now we have the NBR hair Isla coming out in a couple months. Like we're getting it at DKW within the next few weeks. So,
and I know a lot of clients just based on that. And that's why I actually started looking into my own systems, because I was like, I'm sorry, with like what's going on with hand-tied hair and colors and certain lengths and textures not being available. Like, I'm so excited for the launch of Isla, and I know that certain clients like have been already messaging us like, I'm waiting for the new hair. I'm waiting for the new hair.
Can I make an appointment after it comes in?
Right.
Yes.
And so I'm going back into my list from like the past year and finding out, like in Mind Body, you literally can track like who's only been to the salon one time in the last 14 months. And I'm like, we're creating specific email lists that we can target and say, hey, we miss you. Here's some exciting news happening at DKW. And I even look at our salon like as it's grown so much. Like the team's grown. We doubled in size in chairs. Like we got a new product line. We have a new hairline. Like I think it's kind of like when you follow somebody on social media and you think you know them, but you met them 5 years ago and you think you know the 5 years ago them. And then if you actually saw them in person, you realize, I don't know who the fuck you are anymore.
Yeah, they went from a friend to an acquaintance, or barely
an
acquaintance.
But not even that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like people have like they think like they're
it's like a preconceived notion.
Ani, you're still the same Ani you were 5 years ago.
Nah, dude.
You know what I mean? Even if they still follow you on social media, and then you're like, you don't know me. You really don't know me. I'm a different person. I'm a different human being. And I can promise you, like, the service that I offered in the beginning of opening my salon versus the service I offer now is night and day difference based on
the staff is different.
On.
Like everything, and not the way we do hair, but even that's evolved. NBR's evolved. Like everything's gotten better. Yes. You know what I realized the other day? You know, I'm like the OG stylist now. I've been here the longest.
Congratulations.
I would like my gold star, please. I started using gold star emojis everywhere.
Gold star.
I don't even know how this started.
If anybody knows
Amanda.
Ani, please bring some stickers. And when you see her, just gently put a sticker on her jacket.
It's sad, but
I want a trophy.
I'll take a gold star. I don't care. You can just send me the gold star emoji. My number is just kidding. I'm not saying that out loud.
Just DM it to her.
Joke's on you guys. I don't even check my DMs.
You know what? You know what? That's true too. Is like I feel like DMs can get a little bit much. Like I think.
Do you know what blows my mind? Here's the one thing, the one thing that like really grinds my freaking gears is the people who DM me because they know I'm the lead trainer of BMS and they're like, hey, quick question. So this is something I experienced with my client. What would you do? What should I say? How should I respond? What should I do? What color should I use? What color would you use? What do you think about this? How should I do this for my assistant? What do you think this is good for my salon? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is not free training. All of my time, my energy, my space, like everything goes to the artist inside of BMS, inside of Mastermind. And what kills me is it always starts with, I know I didn't join Mastermind, but I have a quick question for you. And I'm like, I can guarantee you I will not have an answer. And I guess what? Everyone in Mastermind knows we have like private networks where they can chat me or message me. Some email me and I'm like, please stop emailing me. That's going to take 10 times longer.
It gets to the point where you really have to value your time. And it's like, you don't want to come across as like a dick, but sometimes it's like if I think I have my DM shut off. I didn't even know. But if I get like an email, I'll just like politely respond or redirect it to somebody else. Like I'm just like, hey, more news coming here. Click here. Because oftentimes, and you know what I realize, like it's so funny. So I'm a part of that reward style thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I am sort of tech savvy, but not really. And sometimes I'll have like a question. And I think it's so cool. Like you have an individual rep for like each like person in there. And so like if I can email her and be like, hey Sarah, like how do I change this link or or whatever, and she'll be like, hey Danielle, hope you're doing so great, here's a blog post that may help, and it's a link and it literally is a blog post. And so I was like, God, that's so smart. Like I feel like personally connected to Sarah, but yet she sent me something that gives me step-by-step like pictures and everything on how to do it. And I was like thinking that's what I want to kind of create inside of our own network of like,
that's what we're doing.
Oh, we're already doing that. Cool.
We're doing that.
But I like the personal touch of like having a rep and being like, hi, and just like redirecting it somewhere.
And that's how it is. Inside of Mastermind, we currently have customer service and Sarah runs everything. Yeah. And then there's Sammy. And I know there's one more person. I just know them two specifically.
Right.
And everybody goes to Sarah. And now we're basically building, it's the BMS library. Like they call it the Army and Warrior, but that sounds, I don't like it. It's a library.
Yeah.
So, and inside of that is all of our training videos, all the Q&A questions, how to solve anything and everything. So if they have a question, they're not waiting on me, because between the trainings I do and then the live classes, like my time's just kind of limited. So they can literally go to customer service, say, hey, Sarah, quick question. Like if I wanted to do this kind of blonde, like what colors would I order? And she's like, oh, here's a link to Ani talking about it. Here's a link to Danielle talking about it. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. But I was like, even thinking back, like if I was not a part of Reward Style, I would never like personally email. I wouldn't have access to personally email anybody. Yeah. I would have to go through the same system of like applying to try to be a part of like to know it. And so that's what I think people don't understand is like everybody should be funneled through the same system so that you don't have to worry about if somebody does DM you and they don't get a response. It's because everybody goes through the same process. Like if we haven't seen a client for over a year and because we do have a salon concierge and we do have a number that they can call or whatnot, but if we haven't seen them in over a year, we send them a link back to the application page and we're like, hey, we miss you, Sarah. I don't know why I keep using Sarah, but we miss you, Sarah. Go ahead and fill out the application again, because we need to collect their updated information. Plus we want to see where their hair's at.
And
right
really,
now.
Dude, in a year, a lot can change with hair.
Yeah.
And I will tell you though, Stephanie at Neiman Marcus, I love her. I was looking for a pair, those Louboutins he sent me one day, like a few months back. I was like, hey, Stephanie, you guys have this? And she's like, let me check our system for you. She's like, we didn't purchase those. But if you go online to here, I'm like, thank you, Stephanie.
And you know what? I don't know why, but when I get kind of annoyed when like I'll shop at Neiman's or something, and then they'll call me and then they'll be like, hey, Danielle, we thought you might like these. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't say you could personally text me, because I'm so sacred with my cell phone number that like when I like I'm almost annoyed. I'm like, no.
I told her, you can't call me, but you can text me. And she texted me a few days later after a purchase I made. She's like, hey, just seeing how you like it. And I'm like, hey, love them, thank you. Then she's like, you need anything, let me know. And then a couple months later, I was like, ooh, do you have these? Can you find these for me?
I think it's, I don't know why
that I
it
like,
bugged me.
as long as, And see, for me, you call me, you're dead to me. Stop calling me. Stop calling me. Why are you calling me? That's how I know people, like the ones who did call me. I'm like, that's how I know you don't even know me.
Yeah.
Because nobody calls me.
Yeah.
Text me.
So the moral of the story today, how long has this show been?
33 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's sum it up. The moral of the story is like, if you're in business, which I don't care if you own your own studio suite or what you do, start creating better habits and patterns and behaviors right now. Start implementing and utilizing systems such as MindBody or some of the other ones, but actually figure out how to use it so that it does benefit you. Educate yourself more on marketing and not just like posting up a pretty photo and saying text me or DM me. Nothing says like, hey, I'm good with my price point or hey, I'm churn and burn, then text me. So take yourself more serious and look into software systems and don't be afraid to. It really just frees up more time for you to have fun and do the art. So systems are created like this to free up space for you. And I can promise you, like, I know we want to like do it all, but at the cost of what? Like, especially if you're a mom. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're a mom and you have kids and you're already on your phone a lot, or you're trying to get your photos edited and uploaded into Instagram, and not only that, then you look down and you have 6 text messages from clients needing to reschedule or this and that, and it's hard to put it away and not deal with it. What if they didn't have the option to text you? So this is like even specific for all of you moms out there doing hair. Stop doing that. Like, you're a mom and your cell phone should be a sacred time thing for you that should be you shouldn't be available at any given time. Like, you just shouldn't be. So I would encourage you to look into something else than text and DM.
So with that, thank you for listening to episode number 62 of the Big Money Stylist podcast. You can actually go to bigmoneystylistnow.com to see us and look at Danielle's lovely Diet Coke.
Ooh, so good.
With that, we'll be seeing you guys next week.